been in the danger zone.
Hello, you beautiful bastards. Long time no see. We have returned from our little Wrestlemania jaunt in one piece. Well, actually two separate pieces, obviously. But anyway, I'm your host, Daniel Kelly, and this week I'm joined by just the one minion. Himpy is absent due to an unfortunate accident involving a condiment bottle. But never fear, I'm still joined by Mr. Ryan Palmer.
Hello, yes, Mr. 100%er is still here for every show. The only one of the podcast who can say so.
Oh yeah, you're the ever-present.
Yeah.
Instead of going straight into Raw this week, like we normally do, we're going to have a little chat about WrestleMania and the whole Mania week in and around New York City from our perspective. We know it's old news now, but since this is the first show since we've been home, you're just simply going to have to tolerate it. We begin with the main event, and that is, of course, WrestleMania 29. I think Mania was great from a live perspective, but I haven't watched it back, I must just say that. From what I'm hearing, it didn't go down too well. But I've got a little feeling that it could just be people not happy with the results more than the quality of the show and the match quality. I would say there's 3 good matches and one very good match. Obviously, the Punk Taker match was something special. And I've got to be honest, I was pleasantly surprised with Rock Cena too. I thought it was a really good match and it is so much more enjoyable than last year.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. As it's that was my first WrestleMania, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was surprised. I think definitely going in with very low expectations really helped. It was very enjoyable. I thought.
Before we went, you were not that optimistic about it, were you? You were saying that it was like the 3rd or 4th most important event of the week for you.
Yeah, definitely. And I wasn't really exaggerating, really. But after it, I was one of the highlights. I thought. Just being there live, the one thing that really stood out to me is just the production values when you're there just are amazing. I don't like on TV. I'm not really bothered about that kind of stuff or watching at home, but it gets just driven into you here like that condiment bottle to Himpy.
More on that next week, hopefully.
Yeah.
I do agree with what you're saying. It's a definite spectacle. There's no other wrestling card on earth that can have that effect on you when you're there. It is the place to be as a wrestling fan. No matter how much WWE bashing you do or how much you're sort of falling out of love with a product, this is still a stunning experience to be there. And every one of you listening to this should make it a lifelong aim to get to at least one WrestleMania.
Yeah, and the set as well, I thought was probably the best set ever. I thought that was incredibly good. Clever. And excuse me, the matches themselves, I thought, better than I thought. Like you said, Punk Taker easily the best, and Cena Rock was a pleasant surprise. I wasn't expecting anything from that. I mean, aside from the result, I thought that was as good as they could have done. So was happy with that. Lesnar, Triple H. The only disappointments was for me Lesnar and Triple H. Apparently Lesnar was knocked out early on, I've read recently, so it might have some bearing of it, but I don't think they're going to have a particularly good match anyway. And Fandango, Chris Jericho, I was quite disappointed with. Other than that, pretty okay. Oh, and obviously Shiteback and Mark Henry was as shit as I was hoping for, so that was hilarious.
Painfully bad. Even from a live perspective, it was very boring.
That was I thought it would be bad. I didn't think it would be that bad. And it was like 8 minutes, I think, or something.
I suppose there wasn't any botches, so that's something. But
but there was 2 chin locks in a 8-minute match.
There was.
That was fun.
Pleasantly surprised with the result, though. I can see why they've done it. Obviously, in retrospect, looking back, but it was surprising and shocking at the time.
Yeah, I wonder if that was, obviously Ryback's heel turn. I wonder if that was pre-planned or anything really, because I mean I doubt he would have been going into a program with Cena this quickly. So interesting to see if they were actually going to do that when they did, but just like turn heel on someone else maybe, or it was going to be a few months down the line. So interesting. But
I think that could have possibly been because obviously we've now got Punk missing for a little while, Rock's missing for a little while. They needed someone to step up and something fresh in the main event scene, possibly. So they turned Ryback in. I heard they did rewrite Raw 3 or 4 times, so maybe it did change pretty close to the deadline that Ryback was finally going to turn. But I can't really see where it'd have gone still as a face because he had no credibility whatsoever. It'd have probably gone on to beat Henry at Extreme Rules, but it wasn't. I think the heel turn is the way forward, but we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get onto Raw.
Yeah. Sorry. One more thing about Mania. One of the highlights as well was getting a Papa John's pizza for it, which I loved. That blew my mind.
I had a shit hot dog, and when I say shit, it was shit.
Oh dear. Should have had the pizza. I know you're kind of off pizzas, aren't you, at the moment? But...
Not a pizza man.
No, fair enough.
It's a Danger Zone exclusive, that. We don't really keep going on about Mania because everything that's been said has been said, and we can't really add that much more. We just wanted to bring you our thoughts from how it came off live in the stadium. But we'll move on to Raw the next night. And I'd say if ever there was a case of the crowd elevating the show, this must have been it.
Yeah.
I thought Ziggler's cash-in was a brilliant moment. It was predictable, but it was still a brilliant moment. It was hopefully the making of a new guy. Although I say that with a lot of trepidation.
Yeah.
And, of course, the star has been potentially made in Fandango, although after the last week's worth of TV, I'm not so sure on that anymore either. But it was a privilege to be a part of that crowd. I would say it's the best Raw crowd ever. I was there for last year's Yes Fest, and I think this was just as good. And a special mention as well, after the event, the highlight was probably the bus and the train journey back into New York, which was ridiculous. It was just songs and chants all the way. And there was chants from everyone from Daniel Bryan to our bus driver. It was completely surreal.
Yeah, that was definitely a quality moment. It's surprising they had that night and nothing like that for Mania, after Mania kind of thing, which was...
Yeah, it was like that last year though. I think because at Mania, obviously, there's a lot of casuals there.
Yeah.
And for the Raw afterwards, most of the casuals that have travelled from around the New York area would have just gone for WrestleMania and gone home the next day or the same night. But the Raw afterwards is sort of like the last event for all the hardcore fans to get off a little bit of steam and sort of send away the week out on a high note.
Yeah. I think when the Raw show as well, I thought without that crowd, that's definitely going to be a poor show. Short of Ziggler's cash-in and the Miz Barrett match. So yeah, that was just made extremely good. Just shout out to Brian Elliott, the editor of FSM magazine. He in his just introduction at the start of the magazine, he mentioned that the crowd probably reacted that way due to WWE not really giving them what they wanted, and he gave an example of Daniel Bryan losing easily to Big E Langston. I thought that was a very thoughtful point, and we talked about this before, just between ourselves, but it is amazing that you've got a company that depends on the fans to buy things and buy tickets and watch the show, and they will not give them what they want. And it is just baffling that they're so arrogant that they will not push the right guys that fans want. Like even someone like Bryan, I mean, he's a tag team champion, but he's not getting pushed like he should be, like his reactions and fan base deserves. Because it isn't just like the smart fans that like him. Like everyone likes him, really.
He gets one of the biggest reactions every week.
Yeah, and so it's just baffling. Just because of Vince McMahon's own agendas, he's not going to push him. It's
like we discussed between ourselves. I can't think of any other company in any other form of entertainment that deliberately sets out to go against what the fan base wants to see.
Yeah, it is unbelievable. Baffling. Hopefully Triple H will not be that stupid. To be honest, I think it goes back to Punk's work shoot promo when he said that Vince is a millionaire when he should be a billionaire, and he spites his cut off his nose to spite his face kind of mentality that he seems to have. But anyway, yeah. So Raw, obviously, that was excellent. So yeah, very very pleased with that.
I agree. One of the highlights of the whole week. Moving on to the night before WrestleMania, which was of course the Hall of Fame. And I've got to say, Madison Square Garden was full of complete idiots that night.
Yeah, definitely.
I can sort of understand the Maria Menounos. Is that her name?
I don't know. No one cares.
Yeah, the hate for her because, but I don't think they should have expressed it in that way. I think wrestling fans have got to realise that it's not a wrestling event.
Yeah.
It's a ceremony which should be respected, no matter whether you agree that it's a work or what. Because the Hall of Fame is, it's a gimmick really. It's not a true Hall of Fame, even though Bruno's now been inducted. It's still not a true wrestling Hall of Fame. But the atmosphere of the place, especially being in Madison Square Garden, I think they could have respected it a lot better than they did.
Yeah, I think have a little boo when she comes out or something, but when she's talking, don't just boo all over it. That's just. It ruins the show anyway. I mean, I don't know. It was uncomfortable being in there.
It was. Luckily, in my section, because there were 7 of us in our party, and we all got split up because we couldn't get 7 together. And I was sitting next to Himby, who at that time didn't have a struggle with a condiment bottle. But and I managed to. I left Himby. I kind of left him hanging because the hecklers in my section were getting on my tits, if I'm being honest. And I somehow managed to blag my way into a box to watch the rest of the show from Bob Backlund's speech onwards. But if I'd have stayed in that section, I'd have probably, if I wouldn't have got in the box, I don't know what I'd have done. I'd have been tempted to leave. Probably it was completely ruined by idiots, and they're not shouting out clever things that are funny. They're just shouting out ridiculous things that aren't funny. That don't take anything to think of anything to shout out. They were just shouting out for the sake of it. But anyway, on to the actual event. I thought Mick Foley's induction and speech was the best. What a brilliant moment when he got Jericho up and Punk counted the 3. If you've read his book or seen the speech, I think he did mention it. He's never beaten Jericho in a match, so now he can get rid of that anyway. I thought Foley's speech was the best. What do you reckon?
Definitely. I so enjoyed that. I think I heard that it went almost an hour, and it didn't feel like that.
Terry Funk's was quite long before. That's probably included in that hour.
Yeah, possibly.
But his speech was entertaining as well.
Oh yeah, Funk was brilliant as well. And just great to see Foley there. That was highly enjoyable. One of my favourite speeches for Hall of Fame induction, definitely.
Moving on to Access, which various members of our party attended at various times. I personally went to 2 sessions.
Yeah.
I think it was 2 sessions, Thursday night and Saturday morning, I think. Mm-hmm. I thought if anyone has been to Access, you'll know how it was set out in a convention centre, usually, and everything's on the same level, and you can walk around and see sort of everything as you'd expect it to be there. But in 2013, for whatever reason, they decided to go for an arena. And in my opinion, it didn't work because you had the main sort of set in the middle. You had the ring in the middle where you had some NXT matches going on, which we had some good NXT matches, actually. We saw Pac a couple of times. We saw El Generico. We saw Paige, who's from Norwich. But anyway, the setup with the superstar signings, which, no one really cares about meeting Bo Dallas, but you had a couple that you wanted to meet, like Paul Heyman and JBL and a few legends dotted around. But you had some in the actual arena and then some in the concourse outside. So if you were queuing for one in the arena, you didn't know who was signing around the outside. And I don't think that really worked.
Yeah, this was my first experience with Access. I thought it was shit.
You didn't enjoy Access, did you?
No, I wasn't value for money really. I don't know. The first when I had my general admission ticket, which was the Thursday, he wasn't announced. So I was pleased that I met Cesaro, who I thoroughly was starstruck of and bottled it nearly. I don't know. He was the only one I was really nervous about for some reason. Maybe it was because he's like only the second wrestler I've ever met. First being Regal. which was in Birmingham in November. So I was really pleased to meet Cesaro because I'm a big fan. Turned up in my El Generico t-shirt, and upon seeing me, he gave me an ole, which was kind of went straight over my head because I was like shitting myself basically. But and after that, I don't remember anything that took place. So he could have raped me, really, to be honest. And
He did.
All right. Well, I feel okay about that, to be honest. As long as I was a service for him. But yeah, he was. Oh, I do remember he was a thoroughly nice bloke. And I was really pleased to meet him, and I'll hopefully do so again when I can actually remember things. But yeah, that was enjoyable.
It is awkward when you meet people for the first time. You sort of shake like a shitting dog.
Yeah, definitely.
A quote from Peter Kay. But it is good. Once you get used to it, you get used to being confident enough to sort of have a little chat with them and try and ask them a couple of questions. But it all depends on who you meet. For instance, me, friend of the show, Wayne, and Himpy, we had tickets to meet Ric Flair on the Thursday night, which was the first wrestling event we did in New York or New Jersey. And obviously, because of unforeseen circumstances with his son, he didn't attend, which was expected. And I'd have been happy if they'd have just, give us our money back or drafted in a lesser replacement. But fortunately, we got The Undertaker, and everyone kind of lost their shit when that was announced. It was a pleasure to meet Taker, and what a really nice guy. Of all the guys I met, he was probably the most humble guy out of everybody. He just sort of asked us where we were from, and he signed anything we wanted, how we wanted it, who we wanted it signed to. He made you feel like he was grateful for meeting you, that you made the effort to come out and meet him. But obviously, it was a little bit awkward because everyone had paid for Flair, so no one had sort of any idea that they were going to meet Taker in advance. So it was a little bit rushed, and we all just got a program signed, but he did make everyone feel very comfortable, and he was a really nice guy, and he accommodated everyone as well.
Yeah, it'd been weird if he'd have been in character for it, I suppose.
Yeah, you met Kane, didn't you, on the Saturday?
Yeah, he was very nice as well. I talking about the Saturday section, that was my VIP with Kane, and that was terrible. There was a cock up with the New Jersey Transit because we had a hotel in New York, and it should have been like the first train should have been at 6:30, but it was like 8, and it started at 8, so it was a nightmare. So I ended up missing over an hour of my VIP session just to be there, really. And I queued up for an hour and a half to meet Daniel Bryan. It's all I wanted to do. Just if I could meet him, I'd have been happy. But no, didn't have time. I waited for an hour and a half, and he had to go. And he was replaced by the Bella Twins. So I was in a bad mood. Hopefully, I was struggling to not show it when I met Kane. So hopefully, I wasn't a bit of an arse to him. I don't think I was particularly, but I was so gutted. But yeah, he was a nice guy. So yeah, and that was kind of ruined for me after that point because I didn't meet Brian. It was like the guy I wanted to meet the most. So that was very annoying. Back on the Thursday, I did meet a couple of other people. DDP, who was a nice guy. He was trying to tell me about some kind of show he's doing in England, and he was like, "Yeah, it's I can't remember where he said it was. He said if you go to it's on the website at oh fuck it, I don't remember." So that was quite funny. He couldn't even remember his booking or where to find out about it. But yeah, he was good. And I also met who else did I meet? Oh yeah, AJ, who was a bit of a bitch, to be honest. She just wasn't very nice, really. Maybe, I'm sure people have had better experiences with her. Maybe it was because it got to the end of her session and things were rushed, but she wouldn't pose for a photo, even though it was being taken. All she had to do was look up, but she wouldn't do that. So, fuck her, to be honest. Maybe it was, she had pressure on her by, I don't know, the security, but it seemed a bit out of line. She wasn't exactly nice, like just chatting and stuff like that, so that was pretty disappointing.
I had a similar experience with JBL. and he was one of the guys I was most looking forward to meeting. And we queued for Paul Heyman, and obviously his queue was out the door. That's the same morning you were queuing for Brian, I think.
Yeah.
His queue was like maybe an hour and a half long. And halfway through queuing, he got replaced by JBL. And of course, no one was really happy that Heyman was going. But if you had to pick a replacement, JBL would have been up there. But and I was looking forward to talking a little bit about football or soccer with him, because he's made some references in the past on commentary and he tweets a lot about it. But he really didn't seem interested. But whether I've not really heard any reports that he's a bell end, but I wouldn't say he was a bell end, but he was certainly a shaft for me. But anyway, we'll see. I think after Access, I think it'd be natural to talk about WrestleCon, which was a similar thing set up in New Jersey, and it was very similar to Access, where you could meet whoever you wanted to meet, but this time, obviously, it wasn't affiliated with WWE, so we could just go and sort of pay and meet who you want when you wanted to meet him. And we met some brilliant names there. We met Bret Hart, I met Lita, I met Mickey James. There's some good stories about Mickey James. Met a lot of guys there. Met Iron Sheik, that was a moment.
Oh, God.
I sat next to Iron Sheik and he cut a promo on friend of the show, Ipswich Dan. And I'd never felt so awkward in my life. I thought he was going to bite my bollocks off.
Oh, dear.
He was exactly how you'd imagine him.
Yeah. The highlight for me from that was when he signed an autograph for you. And
God.
He asked what your name was, and he said Daniel. So he put 2 C. And it was like, I think you must have stopped him and said, no, that's not how you spell my name. So he crossed it out, then start putting D, capital D, A, capital N, little I, E, and then the L would have gone onto his face, so he put it underneath. So and at that point I had to walk away because I was laughing so hard, because I was like next to both of you at the time, and I just couldn't handle it. I just couldn't believe he did that. But that was
it's a story. It's a definite story to be able to tell. It really was. So it's good meeting him.
Yeah. WrestleCon was another highlight for me. I thought that was very good.
Definitely better than Access.
Yeah. So I met Bret Hart, Colt Cabana. He was absolutely lovely chap. Just had a chat with him for a little while. Truth Martini, Jushin Liger, which was quality. Did I meet anyone else? I'm not sure.
No, I met RVD and Bobby Heenan. Poor Bobby Heenan, I just got to say. Because I was expecting to see him not looking too good, because obviously he's had a lot of surgery on his throat because he suffered from cancer. But the words he was saying, you couldn't understand what he was trying to say.
Yeah, poor guy.
He tried to sort of have a chat with me about Mickey James's dog, who was sitting next to her. But it was awkward, because it was really horrible to see him like that, and you couldn't understand a word he was saying, and you obviously still got to be polite. But yeah,
it's difficult.
Just a quick side story on Mickey James. I was like 2 or 3 in the queue to meet her, and I paid my money. And then who comes and tapped me on the shoulder but Headbanger Thrasher in full gear with his face painted and all sorts. And he asked me to take a picture of him and Mickey James, which is surreal enough in itself. So I obviously take the picture. And then I hand him his phone back, and then he tells me, "Oh, that's good. I'm now going to send that to Mosh." What a moment that is.
Yeah.
Not many wrestling fans can say that's happened. But if you go on my Twitter, which is DK_NCFC, you can see the actual picture that I took of Mickey James and Thrasher.
When you told him to put it on Twitter so you could have a look at it.
I told him, I said the photography skills need to be seen. So, and he did.
Yeah, so definitely highlight WrestleCon. I'd definitely do that again if I get the chance.
WrestleCon was really good, yeah.
Yeah, it's good just walking around and seeing everyone just there. That's quite fun.
Definitely. It was. There's some really obscure people there that you probably don't want to meet, but it's good that they're there.
Yeah.
Moving on the Friday evening, we went to Ring of Honor's Supercard of Honor 7, and then the next day we went to the TV tapings for Ring of Honor, which was in the Manhattan Center. Both events were. One was in the ballroom, and one was in another little room. But starting with Supercard of Honor, I would say it was the best wrestling card we went to.
Oh, easily, yeah, definitely.
It was special to be in the. We were in one of the balconies at the side, this like the second tier balcony, which is one of the ones that they used for One Night Stand when all the WWE invaders came in. And it was that's probably the best view I've ever had for a wrestling event. You're looking dead square on the ring. It was brilliant.
Yeah.
It really was brilliant. The matches on the card, I was particularly impressed by Red Dragon and American Wolves. I thought that was a great match.
Mm-hmm.
Arguably the match of the week. And it had you you didn't know who was going to win.
Yeah.
I think the crowd were pretty deflated because they wanted the Wolves to win. But
yeah.
And a special shout out as well to Jay Lethal and Jay Lethal and Michael Elgin. What a brilliant match they put on.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan of Jay Lethal, but that was one of the matches of the week. Definitely a really good match.
Yeah, that was my match of the night. I thought that was incredible. Especially it was a kind of undercard match, so I didn't expect it to go more than like 10-15 minutes, but they had a good amount of time and it was absolute quality. Thoroughly enjoyed that. That was just mental, and the crowd was going mental as well. That was brilliant. But yeah, there was a lot of good stuff on here. The opening match was good. I forget exactly who was involved, but I remember the opening match being good. And then obviously the moment with Jay Briscoe beating Kevin Steen for the title was like completely unexpected.
Brilliant to witness live as well.
Yeah, I was kind of sad because I'm like Steen's probably one of if not my favourite in Ring of Honor. So that was like bittersweet, but it was a great moment for Jay Briscoe because no one expected it to happen. We also had like a meet and greet before the pay-per-view started, which was very good. Very nice guys. Like Kevin Steen was absolute lovely guy.
Yeah, he was.
We both had a picture with him, and he signed some stuff for us. Matt Hardy was really nice, shockingly nice.
Yeah.
Especially for someone who's very well off and didn't need to be as nice as he was, but he just thoroughly was. Very nice guy. Jay Lethal was a nice guy. Elgin was nice.
Tell me about your Briscoe story.
Oh God! So we met Mark and Jay Briscoe. They were late to begin with, and they missed like the start of the meet and greet. So I think I met. Well, you met them first, and Mark Briscoe said to you, "Where you come from?" And you said England, and he said, "Did you come by boat?" And then I met Mark, and he said the same thing to me, and he said, "Did you come by boat as well to me?" So that was weird. Then he signed for me, and then Jay signed as well, and he said, "What's your name?" And I said Ryan, and he said Brian, and I said no, Ryan, Ryan. He's like, "Oh, okay." So then he signed it for me, and he put to Brian. So. So that was it's a good story at least, but that was very funny. But yeah,
Briscoes.
Yeah. That was a highlight. The next night as well was as good, if possibly not better. The TV taping, the meet and greet was mental because it was just like no limitations. They were all just milling about. You just go up to them. ACH is crazy, man.
Oh, what a guy!
That was. He is a good wrestler and young guy, and he was so hilarious. You took a picture with him, and you'd bought some Christmas baubles to go on a tree, and he just got them out, and you've got a picture of him holding them.
Just rooted through our bag.
Yeah, and he got my Daniel Bryan figure out, and then so I've got a picture of him doing that, and then I had a picture with Michael Elgin, and I've just got ACH behind me, photobombing me, doing a crazy face. But yeah, they were really nice, and got a picture of Jay Briscoe with the title as well. Just really nice guys. And the TV's taping itself was brilliant. That's some great matches there. Eddie Edwards, Bobby Fish was good. Carl Anderson versus Michael Elgin was brilliant. And then the main event, Davey Richards versus Kyle O'Reilly, was possibly the match of the week.
What a match that was.
That was incredible. Had everything. It was absolutely brutal. and we had great seats for that. We'd bought third row seats, but for some reason we had tickets for the second row, which was mental. And yeah, that was just quality experience. All the angles, the scum stuff was brilliant. All the promos and unbelievable. So much better than I hoped it would be. Just one of definitely the highlights. And crazy crowd. It was a slightly smaller
Brilliant
crowd. And
I would say that crowd was as good as the Raw crowd.
yeah. Oh, you got to say your Rhino stuff.
Oh yeah, Rhino is part of Scum, and he came out for an angle with the rest of them. And when he was leaning on the ropes facing us, and we were right in the middle of the ring, on the middle of the ropes, and he was literally facing us. And I think, did Steve Corino say something funny?
I think he might have misspoke or something, mightn't he? That could have been.
Oh, is that when he said Ring of Wrestling instead of Ring of Honor?
Possibly,
and of course that stuck. And then every time Steve Corino out, everyone was giving it Ring of Wrestling. But back to Rhino. Steve Corino fluffed his lines, and of course that set Rhino off, and he was really trying not to laugh, and he was proper corpsing, and he couldn't stop. And then he looked up, and he was looking at me, and I was literally probably 5 yards away from him, screaming in his face, "Rhino's corpsing!" and he couldn't stop. And then when he came back out for the next angle, of course, he looked over, and I was just pointing at him, going, "Rhino! Rhino!" And he started again, and it was brilliant. I had a sort of ongoing feud with Rhino throughout the show. Then I met him at WrestleCon the next morning, and he sort of give me the dagger. Yeah, that'd been a better story. Gored me through Bret Hart's table. And then he sort of gave me the daggers, and I was sort of walking around, and it really was brilliant.
Yeah,
great stories.
Yeah. Speaking of the first episode, I have seen bits of it, and we are all over it.
Are we?
Yeah, just they've got like camera shots panning the crowd up close, and you can clearly see me in my Cesaro shirt. And I don't know, you're not got a wrestling shirt on. I think you just got a jumper on or something. But we're all over that.
That's what you want.
Yeah.
I think that's about it about Ring of Honor. Just a final quick word that we went to Dragon Gate's Mercury Rising Eye pay-per-view on the Sunday morning after WrestleCon and before Mania. And good wrestling, good matches. The crowd was a little bit dead because obviously they were waiting for the main event to happen, which was coming next at Mania. But and obviously the morning start didn't really help, I don't think.
Yeah.
But the highlight of that was either the Young Bucks super kicking Christina Von Eerie full on in the face, or arguably the main talking point must have been the ring post bump.
Ah.
That was completely brutal. I can't remember. What's his name?
I can't remember.
Something. Is it Eater?
Yeah, something like that. I'd never seen him before.
Well, obviously he was. Was it the main event? I don't think it was.
No, it was the
main event.
Yeah.
But there's a crowd of guys on the outside, obviously waiting to catch him. So he goes up to the top to do a big moonsault off the top. And as he does the moonsault, he either slips or he doesn't jump properly. And instead of jumping backwards, he does a flip, just jumps vertically, does a flip, and instead of getting the distance to land on the guys and clear the post, he just comes down and twats his forehead right on the ring post, right on the top, splits himself open, gushes everywhere. And it was literally a deafening silence, if that makes sense, for 2 or 3, 4 seconds afterwards. And people were thinking, shit, is he dead? It was, full on. You heard it. We were about 10 rows back, and you just heard dong. It was really.
That was the sickest. That was terrible. And he just came up after a couple of minutes and he was bleeding, and dearie me. Luckily, it was all right. But
and then they kept super kicking him in the head. God, I'm amazed he didn't have more serious injury.
Yeah, crazy. That was a good event though, Dragon Gate. That was enjoyable. Highlight as well for me was meeting the Young Bucks, who were really nice guys as well. Big fans of them, so it was great to meet them.
They came straight out after their match, didn't they? They had a sick ladder war, which was 7 people in the ring at various intervals, and it was some of the ladder spots were brilliant. That's the first time I've seen a ladder match live, I think.
Yeah, it was very good.
Very, very good. The Young Bucks were the star. Who won the match? Was it Our Nation?
Yeah.
Won the match?
Yeah.
But the Young Bucks were the true stars. And then literally 2 minutes afterwards, they came out and signed autographs and sold T-shirts and took pictures. Really, really good guys.
Yeah, very nice.
And other than all the stuff we did around New York, that's about it wrestling-wise, which you'd be interested in.
Yeah.
Saw a Nexus fan on the top of the Empire State Building.
Yeah, that was great. You asked him to take a photo of, that was me, you and Wayne up there, and your exact words to him were, "Oi, Nexus, take a photo." which he did, luckily. But
It was awkward because I think he thought that I wanted a picture with him. just he had a Nexus shirt on. But, yep, that was our WrestleMania week. It was really good. If you keep an eye on our Twitter through the week, I promise you I'll get some of the pictures up with us and some of the wrestlers and some of the moments we've talked about. If there's anything you want to hear more about, just give us a shout and we'll do our best. Right then, moving on. I think it's about time our next item had its own jingle.
Here we go.
Raw shit, 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 raw shit. Ron Palmer's raw shit, this is Ron Palmer's raw shit, this is Ron Palmer's raw shit, this is Ron Palmer's raw shit, Ryan Palmer's raw shit.
Oh, God.
Oh, that's the most disturbing thing I've ever heard in my life.
I do apologise for that. That is sickening.
Oh.
Anyway, go on.
Yeah. So this week's Raw, coming off the heels of the great Raw from the previous week, people were probably quite looking forward to it. I know I was. I was hoping for some debuts. That never happened, unfortunately. So the main thing that happened was probably the end segment with the Cena, Shite Back and Shield segment. Before we talk about the end of Raw, it's been confirmed that Shite Back has turned heel. What do you think of this?
It's something fresh. I'm not really too keen on him, no matter what he does. But I was impressed by the promo. I didn't think he had that type of promo in him. It was
the recorded one.
Yeah, the pre-tape. Yeah.
Mm.
What do you think of that?
Well, I think they don't trust him to do a promo in the ring. Oh
yeah, absolutely. That's why it was pre-taped. Definitely.
It was a bit weird. I don't know. I wasn't a massive fan of it. I don't know. It's Ryback. You know.
that is the end point. It's still Ryback, no matter what he does.
Yeah.
I don't see him winning the title anytime soon. No.
Oh no, I doubt. No, they're not going to have. Which is good, really. Which you're not going to have Cena beat Rock at Mania, get his redemption, and then lose it to Ryback the next month, which is good. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird him being a heel now.
I think it makes sense from a storyline perspective because he's targeting Cena because Cena hasn't returned the favours that Ryback's done for him. But what I don't get is the only reason he's a heel is because of John Cena. Is his rage just targeted at Cena? That's the only explanation we've had so far.
Yeah.
Interesting to see how they go off into other feuds with him because it seems to be that he's still doing everything that he used to do, but he just doesn't like John Cena.
Yeah, I'd like to know kind of his backstage standings now. I mean, I wonder if they have called on him quite a lot. I mean, obviously they're still putting him in, the biggest feud he could be in at the moment. But he still hasn't won on pay-per-view, which is...
Is that 6 or 7 losses in a row now?
Yeah.
It's unbelievable considering the push he got.
Yeah, it is just because of the Shield. They wanted to protect the Shield. I mean, their gimmick is kind of, not over, but it's to establish them they can't be losing. So,
no, I agree.
But yeah, the Mark Henry loss was surprising. I still think they could have done the heel turn without him losing, but there we go. Well, we'll see what happens with this. With the actual segment itself, Cena carried it. They didn't even allow Ryback to speak, which is probably wise. I want Cena say he lacks 2 things to be a champion, and it's the thing between his ears and the thing between his legs, which was quite funny.
Did you see Ryback's tweet on that?
Yeah, and I thought,
deleted.
yeah, he's like John Cena's ex-wife loves both them things or something on Ryback. I thought it's kind of defeats the point to like 2 days later then write it on Twitter
and
in response to him.
Ryback's character.
No,
either.
And it's probably someone has said to him, "Do this."
Yeah.
The funniest thing ever though, which I picked up, was John Cena referring to Ryback as the Ryback.
Yeah, he took a leaf from Daniel Bryan's book there.
Yeah, I wonder if they're kind of buddying up a bit more now because
they're shagging the Bellas.
Exactly. But it's quite funny. I mean, no one else has referred to Ryback as the Ryback apart from Daniel Bryan. So interesting. I wonder if that was like a little nod to Bryan or something like that. But yeah, hopefully this is going to work well for Bryan. This kind of alliance with John Cena with the Bellas kind of thing. Hopefully, see him have a big push or something after in a singles capacity. Which hopefully, something, a world champ, hopefully a match against Ziggler or something, maybe in a match against John Cena for the title down the line. That'd be pretty good.
I would like to see that feud, Cena and Bryan. I think they'd have some really good matches, but Bryan probably wouldn't come off the better.
No. But anyway. I think it'd be okay. Get Bryan heel again. I mean, there we go. But anyway, back to the segment. I thought it was alright. Not bad. I suppose it was well done. It was all logical. Like have the Shield come down. So that was okay. One thing I did pick up on. Did you notice that bit where they had a shot of the Shield, like before they were behind like a curtain?
Backstage.
That must have been a mistake.
To come down the stairs.
Yeah. Michael Cole did mention it. That seemed to be more of saving face kind of thing, because that was obviously a mistake. Because I think Seth Rollins just put down a bottle of water or something, and it seemed like make no sense to include that shot on purpose. But
I don't think it was deliberate at all. I think it is a page from TNA's book.
Yeah,
they do that quite often. They show the wrong camera angles, and but I think with the Shield interfering, I'm not too sure that's the best way they could have been used. I know they're not involved in the feud, but they had no business really doing it. They're feuding with Bryan and Kane. Yeah. Why get involved in Cena Ryback? I know it was good that they've chosen them to do it, but they have no real logical reason to be there.
I think it was more just to establish Ryback as a heel, because he was there and didn't help Cena. So I thought I didn't have any problems with that. It seemed logical. Because, I mean, after like last week, it wasn't obvious that Ryback was a heel. I think even Jim Ross said he's not necessarily a heel.
Yeah. I didn't think he was. In the arena, I thought it just flattened Cena.
Didn't really even cross my mind until I thought about it a few days later. So, I mean, I think that was the best way to do it. Because, I mean, if he just attacked him again, it's not going to... Doesn't mean he's a heel, really. Especially with some people who don't like Cena. So, I thought that was a good way to do it. But yeah. Okay, moving on. 3MB came out to the ring to call out the Shield, which prompted Lesnar to twat them up. The F5s onto the guardrail was pretty good. And Heyman then cut a promo issuing a challenge to Triple H at Extreme Rules for a rematch, the rubber match, but it'd be in a cage match. Are you looking forward to Lesnar Triple H 3?
I'm glad it's a cage match. It's something different. They needed a different type of match because the two matches they've had have been similar rules and a similar sort of style. But I'm not that against it because I'd like to see them end the feud on a high with a good match, because the Mania match was disappointing, definitely. Yeah. And I think they've had a good enough feud with some good angles on television. They deserve a good match to end the feud, because it's been a very good pairing, I think, these two. I'm hoping that it's an attempt to give Lesnar like the 2-1 win, but and they're trying to make him a monster again. But surely Triple H can't win.
No, I that would be way. I don't think even Triple H would be that naive to think that he has to win this one. Maybe in the past when he was like full time, but not like this.
It would make sense to have Lesnar win, obviously, because it would build him up again, ready for a new feud as a monster, and they could easily write Triple H off TV with it.
Yeah.
If he batters him.
Yeah, hopefully.
It works both ways. I'm quite happy with the second rematch, I think.
Yeah, I think I'm glad. I want them to get it out of the way. Really, to be honest, I'm glad it's this soon, just to erase hopefully the memory of Lesnar's Mania loss. Well, we'll see. Really, I mean, I don't have massive. I'm glad it's on like a. Extreme Rules has proved to be a very good card the last few years. So I suppose it's not a small card, but other than like Mania, it'd probably be one of the cards I'd want to go to the most usually each year because it's always pretty good since it's become like the first pay-per-view after Extreme Rules and not Backlash. They've been very entertaining. Especially last year.
It's a great event last year.
Yeah. So
3 or 4 quality matches last year.
We'll see what happens. I don't have high expectations for it, but the cage match stipulation was kind of weird. Because they don't really do big grudge cage matches on pay-per-view anymore.
Cage match is more of a throwaway match.
Yeah, so maybe this is Triple H trying to bring back some kind of, I don't know,
prestige.
Yeah, to the actual match, which fair enough. I was surprised it weren't Hell in a Cell or something, but there we go. Okay, massive announcement for next week's Raw: Undertaker and Team Hell No versus the Shield, which better be in the main event. This was a massive bombshell, like I said, and it looked like this might, happen at Extreme Rules instead. What do you think the Shield will be doing at the pay-per-view? Because I don't know, a lot of people thought this was the match that was going to happen at the pay-per-view.
Firstly, on to the Raw match next week. I think it's great for the London crowd because Raw is in London next week, and I think it's a great way of Taker sort of saying goodbye to London, possibly. And it also proves what a state the main event is in at the minute when they have to get Taker to work a TV match after working like 2 matches in 3 years or whatever it is. And now he's got to work a free match on television just because Punk's gone and Rock's gone. But anyway, I'd like to think they'll put the Shield over next week.
Yeah.
Probably pinning Bryan though. But
yeah, I'm confident that the Shield are going to win. I won't be surprised if they pin the Undertaker and then destroy him afterwards and kind of write him out of television.
Yeah, that's a very good point. That's a good. Maybe I'm on the fence for that one. We'll see.
I think they might do some kind of take him out, even if it's not like chop his legs off or something like that. But just give him a power bomb or something, the triple power bomb after the match or something like that.
If they give him like sort of 20 minutes, 25 minutes at the end of Raw, it could go down as one of the best TV matches.
That should be mental, especially with the crowd. That'll be crazy.
I'm just hoping that they don't like the bell rings and someone interferes and takes Undertaker out. And they don't have the match. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't put them past them doing that.
No, maybe to set up the Mania one or something.
Yeah.
But I'm confident they're just gonna. I mean, Taker, I don't think he'd have a problem at all putting over the Shield, and taking the pin himself.
He doesn't need to win, does he?
No.
He could lose a match every day for the next year, and he'd still be a bit main draw at Mania next year.
Yeah, it'd benefit the Shield so much if they pin Taker.
It would. What a moment that was on the Raw that we were there, by the way, when after the cameras stopped rolling, Taker's music played and Bryan, Kane and Taker walked back and all the lightning cracked and the fire came up, and on the ramp as Undertaker does his pose with his arm, little Daniel Bryan in the middle of the Brothers of Destruction did the pose with him. What a brilliant moment that was.
I was jumping up and down like a lunatic. Well, that was amazing. It's interesting to see where the Shield are going to go. After this pay-per-view,
I was going to say that.
Yeah, they might have a tag. It's rumored they might have a tag match against the Shield. I think maybe in the coming weeks we'll do a topic that people on Twitter can answer as well. Maybe what would you do for the Shield going forward in the next few months, 6 months, something like that. Could be interesting.
Well, if we get replies like I did this week, it'd be end the Shield.
Yeah. We'll see. I would be all for them getting the tag titles, I guess. I don't know. I suppose just to free up Bryan really, so he can go off on at singles. But,
who do you think the two will be? Do you think it'll be Ambrose and Rollins?
I hope so, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's Reigns and Reigns. But I
think with Reigns, I can see the Shield winning it and Reigns winning it for him. Do you know what I mean? But obviously Ambrose and Rollins winning the belts through interference from Reigns is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I think they just got to be smart. You got to put the two best workers in there together, and Ambrose and Rollins, they have like shown in the six mans and stuff like that they tag really well together. They've got some moves that they like the bow and arrow, and then Rollins comes in with the knee drop off the top. They have some nice little tag team moves. So they'd be stupid to split them up, them two up in like a tag team situation and just have Rollins in there because they like him because he's big. But yeah, we'll see.
Reigns, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
I think it'll be a classic match if it does happen. Any match with Bryan, Rollins, and Ambrose in is going to be pretty special.
Yeah, definitely. Also on this card, looks like Punk is going for a while.
Yeah, he's off.
I'm in favour of this, to be honest. I think it'd be good for him to. He's had the title for so long, like he said, and he's challenged Undertaker. Give him quite a few months off, he can come back fresh. I think that'd do him the world of good, and especially if he's injured and stuff like that. So, yeah, maybe come back just before SummerSlam or something for a match or something.
That's what the dirt sheets are saying. But yeah. Just breaking this morning, what I've read, that Punk has fell out backstage with certain people over the direction he was going in and the situation which was going to happen after Mania, and they reckon that it's a serious problem and he's really fell out.
Yeah.
So, but we'll see. I think SummerSlam will be a good point for him to come back. And do you think he'll come back as a face?
No.
No?
I'd be... Not yet, I don't think. I think it'll happen again maybe in a year or so, but not quite yet.
Yeah. I see where you're coming from. I think maybe the way that his promo ended, though, he was sort of acting not really like a heel.
Yeah.
He seemed very sort of regretful, but whether they're doing that on purpose to play on the fact that when he comes back it'll be, you bastard.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm interested to see where they'll slot him back in. I hope they don't waste it like they did the first time round.
Yeah, definitely.
It'll be a moment when he comes back. I'm not looking forward to the next 3 or 4 months without him, though. I think the main event roster is in drastic need of a makeover, as it has been for 3 or 4 years. But yeah, that's the end of Punk for a little while.
Yeah, I think it'll definitely be a miss, and hopefully it'll make WWC's worth a bit more, really, as he does do a lot for them. He can sometimes carry a pay-per-view when Cena isn't there, and I think he'll be a massive miss. Lastly on Raw, Kofi Kingston defeated Cesaro to be the new United States champion. This was kind of weird, especially with Kofi beating him. It's out of the blue, and I don't know, it's Kofi again with another mid-card title that he will most likely flop with. So maybe
cycle, like I've mentioned before, it's the Kofi cycle.
Yeah,
he's lost one belt or split up the tag team, and then he'll win one belt. Then he'll probably lose that belt, then maybe win the other Intercontinental belt, and then maybe form a tag team again.
Yeah.
It's just part of the cycle for poor Kofi.
Yeah.
I do feel a little bit sorry for him because he's a good worker.
Yeah, but I mean, his character is so dull.
That's why I feel sorry for him.
He's good, he's good in the ring, but I mean, he doesn't offer anything as a character, really. So, it's quite tiring. I think they should hurry up and turn him heel or something, because he needs something. And he might, after a heel turn, people might, respect him a little more or like him a bit more. But I only imagine he'll just be a transitional champion here, maybe only have it for a couple of months at the most, but we'll see. What now for Cesaro is the main thing. I think he's at a delicate point in his run.
I've heard rumours that Vince has sort of soured on him a little bit, which isn't good.
No.
I can't believe it. They've sort of booked him as a cool European that he's really serious about what he does, and then he comes out to lose the title and starts yodeling.
Yeah,
what's that all about?
I don't know. It's just because he's from a different country. It's probably all Vince's idea. He loves this kind of stuff. It's stupid, but what I think, perfect time. Bring in Cassius Ohno, aka Chris Hero, reform the Kings of Wrestling, and the tag division is saved, basically. I think it'll be perfect time to, especially with debuts, but I don't know, we'll see. Yeah, I think that does it for Ryan Palmer's Raw shit.
Raw shit, 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 raw shit. Ryan Palmer's Raw shit, this is Ryan Palmer's Raw shit, this is Ryan Palmer's Raw shit, this is Ryan Palmer's Raw shit, Ryan Palmer's Raw shit.
There's no Himpy news this week, I'm afraid. Himpy does not do some news this week because he's too preoccupied with his condiment bottles. That should return next week if the said condiment bottle problem has been resolved. In closing this week on the Danger Zone, we ask you to submit your entries for next week's Twitter discussion. Please use the hashtag DZ14, that's DZ14, and we want you to tell us who you'd like to see TNA bring in to rebuild their X Division around. I don't want answers like they should just close TNA, because I've already had one of them, and the exchange on Twitter didn't end well. We're looking for realistic options that are available, and by that, guys that aren't tied down to any other companies. So yeah, we know a lot of you guys are TNA fans, so use the hashtag DZ14 on Twitter and let us know what you think, and you could well have your tweet read out on next week's episode.
Yeah.
We thank you for joining us on the show this week, and we look forward to hearing from you on our social media platforms. You can follow us on Twitter at DZ Podcast. You can also like us on Facebook. We're thinking about bringing the YouTube side of things to a close, because it's our understanding that most of you guys are now listening to us on iTunes, by which you can find us searching for the Danger Zone podcast. Make sure you subscribe and leave some comments on that. Keep an eye on Twitter throughout the week, where we'll be bringing you some live tweeting for Raw, Impact, SmackDown, and maybe that UK show that's debuted after Impact, which I thought was quite good. And until then, you've been in the Danger Zone. Goodbye.
I've been in the danger zone.